The afternoon of February 11, 2023 at New Baneshwar Chowk, Kathmandu. A portly, middle-aged man barks on his cell phone amid a laid-back Saturday at the heart of Nepal's quaint capital that is home to important addresses like the Federal Parliament, formerly the Birendra International Convention Center, and the Constituent Assembly Building, and one of the centers of public scorn these days as a nerve center of an increasingly unpopular and corruption-ridden polity. जैसे भी हो सालग्राम शिला चाहिए. The power center erupts every now and then, thanks to a soaring unpopularity of powers that be, who have not been able to deliver much despite their decades-long vice-like grip onto power and 9 long years after the promulgation of a constitution. The seventh charter in a space of 76 years through a constituent assembly in its second term. A major eruption occurred in the afternoon of January 24 last year when Prem Prasad Acharya, 37 years old, a 37-year-old struggling entrepreneur brimming with ideas. He immolated himself near the Parliament building after citing in his social media posts rampant corruption and taking the names of those who had driven him to despair. This, even as a motorcade carrying the then Prime Minister Pushpakamal Dahal sped past. Back to the laid-back Saturday. Apparently, the individual, most probably from India, in his condescending tone and tenor, was ordering someone down a shady cross-border supply chain to see to it that he gets the salgram, the Hindi name given for saligram, the ammonite pebbles, considered sacred and containing fossilized imprints of ancient sea creatures found only in the Kaligandaki River, come what may. Apparently, as the construction and consecration of the Ram temple in Ayodhya had become the main election agenda for the ruling Bharatiya Janata Party, seeking a third straight term in office under the leadership of Narendra Modi. Getting those rocks from the Kaligandaki had become super important for carving out the statues of Ram Lalla, that is, lovely, cuddly Ram in his childhood avatar, and his consort Sita, the daughter of Mithila king Janak of Nepal. Roughly a year from that day, Ayodhya, 448 kilometers approximately, 448 kilometers of driving distance away from Kathmandu, witnessed a grand inauguration of the Ram Temple on January 22, 2024, with two calcite and quartzite rocks sourced from Thulopahara, Kaligandaki rural municipality in Magdi district, transported with the Nepali taxpayers' money and placed outside the shrine's sanctum sanctorum as if they were, as if these giant rocks were two Nepali youths stationed there for guarding the deities. With Nepali wish, Nepal's geologists, government representatives, religious figures, and political leaders would one day regain the energies to conserve our heritages, including our lifelines, that is, our rivers, instead of burning themselves out to locate the heritages on our sacred riverbanks, all for transporting them across the border for some grand religious project or the other. Anyway, much water has flown down the Kali Gandaki and drained into the Ganga, and countless saligram rocks, those pebbles, have vanished just like that from the river since then and well before, mainly due to unabated mining for construction materials like sand and boulders, and unabated access to all sorts of people along the riverbanks where there is no presence of the country's security apparatuses, meaning anyone can lift anything they want and get away with it. A collusion between couriers, shop owners, and seekers, and above all, a criminal neglect on the part of governments at the center, the provinces, and the municipal level, which have not bothered to deploy guards along the riverbanks, considered the cradle of human civilization, has made it all possible. All these factors have made this daylight robbery of Kaligandaki's resources possible. What's more, a road along the Kali Gandaki has also become a lifeline for those involved in the illicit trade that has seen the sacred stones stolen in broad daylight and transported beyond borders. While Nepal has achieved some success in the repatriation of other heritages, stolen mainly from the Kathmandu Valley at different points in time, from different museums and private collectors based abroad, it has not been able to retrieve the saligrams and bring those behind this dastardly crime against both humanity and divinity to justice, thanks to utter apathy on the part of our government authorities. On the contrary, the government seems to be encouraging the unchecked and unlawful extraction and transportation of riverine resources beyond the national borders, boosting further the morale of those shady elements operating along the banks of the Kali Gandaki and beyond. The act of locating and transporting the two giant rocks in the name of so-called saligram diplomacy is the latest living proof of that dangerous tendency. In this process, the government seems to have forgotten that the Gandaki, as we the people living in close proximity with the river, both physically and metaphysically. Call it, it is not just a river, but a lifeline. Just like our rivulets and brooks drain into the river, our lives go with its flow and end with her. On her banks, we take holy dips during festivals like the Nepali New Year and the Maghe Sankranti. On her banks, we cremate our dead and pray for their easy passage through different worlds, believing that life does not end after death, that to liberate oneself from a seemingly endless cycle of birth and death, one has to have their sins washed away, which is believed to take several cycles of birth and death, depending on the gravity of the sins committed. The earth moving equipment the earth moving equipment operating with impunity along the cradle of human civilization for the extraction of riverine materials are turning the cradle into a grave. A rampant theft, a rampant theft of riverine resources. A rampant theft. I was talking about a rampant theft or daylight robbery, if you will, from the banks of the Kaligandaki River and several other rivers of Nepal. I was talking about that, and let's continue with this stream of consciousness. A rampant theft of precious resources is an unforgivable attack on our traditional way of life that is in sync with Mother Nature and Father Sky, a way of life that regards rivers as sacred. But this is not the end of Kaligandaki's exploitation or the exploitation of other lifelines, the other rivers of Nepal. A diversion scheme intended to channelize the Gandaki waters in the name of providing for parched populations of Rupandehi and Kapilvastu districts and beyond. This diversion scheme recently got an all clear from Nepal's top court, meaning the river may remain only on the map sooner than later. It will be gone in the name of supplying water for parched populations in the coming days. While wrapping up this presentation, a frame from childhood comes to my mind with Ama, mother, and relatives. A young boy has come to the banks of the Gandaki for a holy bath at Rudrabeni. His feet numb from hours of trek along a rough and tumble terrain. After the evolution, Amalekites oil-soaked wickers kept in curry. That curry means cups made of sal leaves and consigns these lamps to the flow. Going with the flow for some distance, the flickering lights die and the boy lifts the river banks with Ama and the rest of the entourage at around dusk, with home miles and miles and miles away. Mom is long gone, and so is the Gandaki of my childhood. You can see that frame of that Gandaki river that I took some time back on the background of this presentation, with its waters diverted at various places for hurdles and its banks bleeding due to unchecked extraction of riverine resources. But a Gandaki flowing in spate lives on in my mind, and its flickering lights remind me of a dying civilization. Time has come for the citizenry in particular. Time has come for Nepal's conscious citizenry. Time has come for the government, for the local communities, people's representatives, and governments at all three levels to wake up and act before the collective light of the Gandaki civilization dies out like those flickering lights of my childhood. With this remark, I wrap up this edition of Soft Talk. I request you to subscribe to this channel, comment on our presentation, and press that like button. And I also request you to just be a voice for the conservation of those sacred pebbles found only on the banks of the Kali Gandaki, the Saligram. I request you all to work for the repatriation of Nepal's stolen saligrams. With this remark, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening.